my esteemed sister and brother judges, Mr. Chetan Sharma, Additional Solicitor General of India, Mr. Murari Tiwari, Chairman, Enrollment Committee, Bar Council of Delhi, Mr. Mohit Mathur, President, Delhi High Court Bar Association, Mr. Jatan Singh, Vice President, Delhi High Court Bar Association, Mr. Abhijat, Secretary, Delhi High Court Bar Association, Mr. Sanjay Lau, Standing Counsel, Criminal, Government of NCT of Delhi, Standing Councils of the Central Government and State Government, Executive Members of the Delhi High Court Bar Association, Office Bearers of Bar Council of Delhi and other district bar associations, Senior Advocates, Members of the Bar, Family Members of late Justice Jagdish Kumar MEHRA, Family Members of late Justice Anil Kumar, ladies and gentlemen. It is with immense sense of sadness that we have assembled today to condole the sad demise of Mr. Justice J.K. MEHRA and Mr. Justice Anil Kumar, former judges of this court. Justice J.K. MEHRA was born on 6 November 1935 in undivided India. In 1947, his family migrated from Rawalpindi to Delhi, when he was barely 10 years old. His family stayed in tents put up in open area where the present building of the Supreme Court stands. He lost his father early, and from being an heir to a highly successful business family in Rawalpindi, he became a struggling student staying in tents. He struggled to finish his basic education and took up a job to help his widowed mother get her daughters and sons married off. He studied BL LLB. On 23rd February 1952, he was enrolled as an advocate, and thereafter he was enrolled as a pleader on 11th of September 1960. His area of practice was wide, and it covered labor and service laws, trademarks and copyright laws, and civil commercial laws. He and his several friends from the famous Candle Point of Tisazari complex met regularly for lunch. He was a part of a group that was fondly called the Friday Club, which existed till nearly all its members were elevated. He was appointed as an additional judge of this court on 19th March 1991, and thereafter as a permanent judge on 3rd September 1991. He retired on 6th November 1997. During his tenure as a judge of this court, he rendered several judgments on a variety of subjects. He was appointed as a member of the National Consumer Dispute Redressal Commission, and served there for a period of 5 years. He was also designated a senior advocate by the Supreme Court on 13th of February 1998. Post-retirement, Justice MEHRA acted as an arbitrator in several domestic and international commercial disputes, and continued to do so even till a day before his demise on 20th May 2019. He also acted as the patron-in-chief of an NGO, the Delhi Citizen Forum for Civil Rights. He was also made the chairman of the Fare Fixation Committee of the Delhi Metro, which assignment he completed well before the 90 days allotted therefor. He was a tough taskmaster with a pleasant demeanor. He will always be remembered for his smiling face and prompt disposals, his ability to grasp the main issue in a dispute before him and focus on getting the matters either settled or disposed of at the earliest was appreciated by one and all. I remember arguing several matters in his court, particularly when he was sitting on the original side. He came a long way from where he started, and by dint of hard work, he earned respect and goodwill on his own merit. Justice MEHRA was an avid sportsperson. He played cricket and football till inter-university level. Justice MEHRA continued to play cricket for the Delhi High Court Bar Association in matches against other bar associations, as well as for the Chief Justice's 11. He rarely missed an international match played at the DDCA's Firozshah Kotla ground. He was fond of eating good food and used to adore street food a lot. He was a highly spiritual person and was a very loving, caring and supportive father and grandfather. Justice J.K. MEHRA left for his heavenly abode on 21st May 2019. Justice Mehra was survived by his wife, Mrs. Kamini Mehra, who too passed away in the meantime, and his sons, Advocate Dilip Mehra, his wife Sheetal Mehra, who too unfortunately passed away due to COVID. His second son, Vinish Mehra, and his daughter-in-law, Sonali Mehra, wife of Vinish Mehra, his daughter, Mrs. Anjali Gogia, and grandchildren, Advocate Shika Mehra, Gunit Gogia, Kunal Mehra, Mudit Gogia, and Nikhil Mehra. His sad demise has created a void not just for his family and friends, but for the entire legal fraternity at large. I, on behalf of my sister and brother judges, and on my own behalf, convey our heartfelt condolences to the members of the bereaved family and pray to Almighty to give them strength to bear this irreparable loss. May the Almighty bestow peace upon the departed soul. We have also assembled here to condole the passing away of Mr. Justice Anil Kumar. Justice Anil Kumar was born on 12th of July 1950. He was the son of late Mr. Justice Sultan Singh, a judge of this court. He did his MSc in Physical Sciences, Quantum Mechanics, and was awarded the LLB degree by the University of Delhi. He enrolled as an advocate with the Bar Council of Delhi in 1974 and started law practice in the same year. For many years, he represented the Central Board of Secondary Education, National Institute of Open Schooling, and National Institute of Education Planning and Administration in the Delhi High Court. He was on the panel of senior lawyers for the state of UP in the Supreme Court. He was also a counsel for Airport Authority of India, Municipal Corporation of Delhi, apart from representing a number of individuals and private companies in Delhi High Court. While appearing for state instrumentalities, he exhibited a very fair and just approach. He was appointed as an additional judge of this court on 16th of July 2004 and was made permanent on 20th of February 2006. I remember when his turn came to head a division bench, I was chosen to sit with him on the bench. I thoroughly enjoyed teaming up with him and learnt a lot from him. He was a very good host. Practically every day after finishing the court, we would have a cup of tea in his chamber and I enjoyed the choicest of snacks during those gossip sessions. He retired on 11th of July 2012 and immediately took over as the chairperson of the Appellate Tribunal for Forfeited Property and held the position for 3 years. Thereafter, he started practicing before the Supreme Court of India. He was designated as a senior advocate by the Supreme Court of India on 31st August 2016. Justice Kumar was a multi-dimensional personality. He was a fluent French speaker. He did diploma in French from JNU and later on an advanced diploma in French from the University of Delhi. In 1975, he was elected to the governing body of Alliance Française. He used to brew his own wine, which he continued to do till his father became a judge of this court. He loved to travel and covered remote areas which were not easy to access in the hills. At the age of 59 years, he joined dance classes to learn salsa, cha-cha, foxtrot, etc., all South American dance forms. He was also member of President Estate Polo Club and was fond of horse riding. Since his school days, he was associated with a music band as a drummer. He was also a member of the gliding club and did about 78 launches. In his early days of practice, he formed an association in Tisazari called the Association of Tired Young Lawyers and also became the president of the same. He was also the executive member of International Law Association and the executive president of Asia Pacific Jurist Association. He was appointed as the president of Delhi chapter of International Democratic Lawyers Association. He continued to take part in various conferences held in India as well as abroad. Justice Kumar was an epitome of integrity in all walks of life. He was known to deliver justice within the framework of the law while being sensitive to the rights of the ordinary persons. He used to give patient hearings to all the litigants. On a personal note, I had the good fortune of moving into the bungalow vacated by him, and I have continued to reside there, even though Other larger bungalows came my way, I guess due to the good vibes that he infused and left in that house. In his farewell reference speech, read out by the then acting Chief Justice, Justice A.K. Sikri, he read, and I quote, During graduation, he read extensively and used to visit American Library and British Council Library at least twice a week. He became a disciple of German philosopher Karl Popper and got extremely influenced by his theory of objectivism, firmly believing that there cannot be any absolute and final truth. Every proposition and idea can be refuted to reach or arrive at a better and higher truth. This virtue of finding the truth generated another quality in him. He listened with patience. He gave due respect to the arguments advanced before him. But those arguments never came to a conclusion without Justice Anil Kumar having in substance found the truth where it lies. And in that, he was fiercely independent. At the same time, he was open to frank and analytical discussion and would get persuaded if there is merit in what others say. It is this characteristic which gives him ability to come to a clear conclusion. Once the decision is reached with compelling sense of righteousness, he rarely changes his mind. Unquote. Justice Anil Kumar left for his heavenly abode on 22nd April 2021. He is survived by his wife, Srimati Anita Sahani, advocate, who was his junior before their marriage, his two daughters, advocate Tanisha Sultan Singh and Tanima Sultan Singh, and his brother, Advocate Atul Kumar. With the passing of Justice Anil Kumar, the judicial profession has been left poorer as one of its most prolific minds has moved on and left for his heavenly abode. I, on behalf of my sister and brother judges, and on my own behalf, convey our heartfelt condolences to the members of the bereaved family and pray to the Almighty to give them strength to bear this irreparable loss. May the Almighty bestow peace on the departed soul.
Honorable Justice Vipin Sanghi, Acting Chief Justice of this Honorable Court, Justice Siddharth Mardul, Justice Manmohan, Justice Shakhtar, Justice Waziri, all honorable members of the Honorable Bench, family members of late Justice J.K. Mehra and Justice Anil Kumar, President, Delhi High Court Bar Association, Shri Mohit Mathur, Secretary, Shri Abhijat, Vice President, Shri Jatan Singh, though not necessarily in that order, office bearers of the Executive Committee, Shri Murari Tiwari, Chairman, Enrollment Committee, Bar Council of Delhi, Shri Sanjay Lau, Standing Counsel Civil, assembled senior advocates, former ASG Senior Advocate Shri Chandyok, distinguished members of the bar, and all those young interns and young advocates who have assembled here in the rich tradition of this Honorable Court to oversee how this institution pays homage to its illustrious leaders and the judges. Justice J.K. Mehra was born on 6th of November 1935 and was enrolled in the year 1960 as a pleader and advocate when most of us were still to come into this mortal earth. He practiced in labor and service law and had a flourishing practice at that. He was also an expert on Trade and Merchandise Act, intellectual property rights, and more particularly, he was a very flourishing and adept commercial lawyer. He was appointed additional judge of this Honorable Court on 19th of March 1991 and a permanent judge of this court on 3rd of September 1991. He retired on 6th of November 1997. Much has been said for Justice J.K. Mehra, but I have personally had a very close interaction with him and his family. And when I met Dilip, I said, do you have anything to say? He said, who would know more than you? And this sums it up. He was a radiant, vibrant man. He was seemingly very relaxed in his demeanor, but he was exceptionally sharp to catch the point. He hardly lost his temper, but when he did, he made it known. To the young advocates, he would always have a word of encouragement. And to the senior members, he would always listen with avid patience. And his questions really went to the root of the matter. Being a very practical and pragmatic commercial lawyer, he would cut the chase as if it were and come straight to the point. He would be remembered for his vibrance and for his wit and for his humor, which he also shared in court. There was a young lawyer appearing in court number 16. I am not going to name the lawyer. And he got a favorable order from Justice MEHRA. So in his exuberance, he bowed down much more than what is the normal regimen. And Justice MEHRA remarked, young man, please mind your head. So he had that sense of spark, that sense of extempore inside court and in the proceedings. And that also reflected in the very balanced manner in which Justice MEHRA wrote his orders. As Justice Sanghi has said, he was a spiritual man and had satsangs each week on Thursdays in his Greater Kailash home. And I had the fortune of visiting him, not only as a counsel appearing in arbitration matters, but he also called me sometimes, ki, tu bhi aake dekh kuch, Rab da na le le. So I also had to partake some of those moments. Yes, he was a great, we can call it a foodie. He was very fond of good food. He was an excellent host. And more importantly, he was a great Matri Bhakt. He worshipped his mother. And when his mother complained of a heart problem, he showed her to the doctor. And when she came back, she was put on a diet. And that diet obviously had no oil and no ghee. And she began to feel very uncomfortable. So after 13 or 14 days, Justice MEHRA told me, Chetan, मैं अपनी माताजी ने गल कीती है. She said, खसमां नूं खाने दवाइयां, मैनू घ्यो दे ते दाल च तड़का पाके दे. So this was the affection between son and mother at that age. This has been told only to say that he said, yes, if my mother is happy in this particular manner of living, so shall it be. A dutiful son, a doting father, a wonderful husband, very popular in the Residents' Welfare Association block. He was greeted with a smile whenever he went for his morning walks. And all in all, we will always miss his charm, his smile, his glowing face, and his vibrance. Justice MEHRA will live in our minds as a very happy personality. My condolences to his family. But at the same time, while we condole, we also celebrate a successful life. Justice Anil Kumar was born on 12th of July 1950 and did his MSc in physical sciences, and that too in quantum mechanics. Now from quantum mechanics, he went over from that to LLB and also was an advanced diploma holder in French from the University of Delhi. He began practice, as was said by Acting Chief Justice, and appointed a judge of this Honorable Court on 16th of July and a permanent judge on the 20th of February 2006. Retired on 11th of July 2012. During his graduation, he read extensively and used to visit the American Library and British Council Library at least twice a week and became a disciple of a German philosopher, Karl Popper, and got extremely influenced by his theory of objectivism. He believed that there cannot be any absolute and final truth. Every proposition and idea can be refuted to achieve or arrive at a higher and better truth. So this was uh, his take on philosophy as guided. And as they say, munde munde matir bhinna, to each mind there is a perception which is different. And our joy lies in accepting that different different thought and celebrating the variedness in philosophy as also in life. He was a trekker also and trekked to the parts that were hardly accessible to a normal tourist. The multidimensional personality that he was also, from his school days, he wanted to do things for himself, did not want to work for money, but he was an alcoholic in the sense of the word. Now, he was also a drummer in school, and as Charles Kensley puts it, music has been called the speech of angels. So he was in touch to God in the form of music, as he was a drummer. He was also a teacher. I'm told that he visited Frank Anthony Public School and offered to teach chemistry after the department had suffered a heart attack, and he did teach chemistry to class 10th to 11th for some time. So we have a phalanx which constitutes quantum mechanics, law, chemistry, trekking, drumming, dancing, cooking, and as Justice Sanghi also said, he was an excellent host. He was fluent in the French language, which he learnt in the year 1973, and he joined what would be called in France as the Alliance Française de Delhi for certificate in French. Thereafter, he had a diploma in French from the JNU, an advanced diploma from the Delhi University. In 1975, he was elected to the governing body of the Alliance Française, got influenced by the French culture, and took extensive part in French cultural events in New Delhi. Nobody could, while looking at Justice Kumar, say that he had this sort of a French connection. This was a revelation of sorts. He also took up a fight when he wanted one, and for a just cause. He fought with his chief instructor, and that led him to sacrifice his gliding career. He went up to Chitkul, which was the last village in Kinnaur district adjoining the India-China border. He trekked to Dhauladhar range extensively around McLeodganj with a law lecturer known by the name of Mr. Solid Paul. Did river rafting with his wife in the Tista River, Sikkim, had a mishap as the raft had overturned in mid-river, and both of them survived. But that did not deter him to do it again. An example of his courage and adventure was that he went to Srinagar at the peak of terrorism, and in a terrorist attack, their room was destroyed. One of the misfired rockets had landed right in front of their room, and as luck would have it, Justice Kumar and his wife both were not in the room at that time. He was also a member of the President's Estate Polo Club, now known as the Army Polo Club, and also horse rode since 1989. As Justice Sanghi said, he was also part of a group in the 30 Hazari called the Association of, I have the written of tried young lawyers. Justice Sanghi read it as tired young lawyers, so we can both synthesize them as tired and tried young lawyers. He became a judge. After he became a judge, he became executive member of the International Law Association and traveled extensively, so on and so forth. Justice Anil Kumar was a varied man with a varied personality and strict in court, but exceedingly gentle and polite to all members of the bar. My condolences to the family of Justice Anil Kumar. Om Shanti.
Honorable the Acting Chief Justice of the Honorable High Court of Delhi, Justice Vipin Sanghi, other honorable judges on the bench of this honorable court, Mr. Chetan Sharma, Learned Additional Solicitor General of India, Vice President, Honorary Secretary of the Delhi High Court Bar Association, the other executive members, former presidents of the Delhi High Court Bar Association, Mr. Sanjay Lau, Standing Counsel, Government of NCT of Delhi, Mr. Murari Tiwari, Chairman, Enrollment Committee of the BCD, and other distinguished members of the BCD, office bearers of the District Court Bar Associations, senior counsels, and dear members of the bar, friends and family of late Justice J.K. MEHRA ji and late Justice Shri Anil Kumar ji, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed heartbreaking that we are gathered here once again for a reference, this time to pay our tributes to late Justice J.K. MEHRA ji and Justice Anil Kumar ji, former judges of this honorable court. On this occasion, we have a chance to look back at their lives and times. As we remember the departed souls, we also recall the lessons and stories left behind by them. Given how I have so many of them, I deem their passing a personal loss. The Delhi High Court Bar Association today shares solidarity with their grieving families, friends, and peers. The speakers before me have already told you all about their careers, notable achievements, and eventual ascension to this honorable court. I therefore take this opportunity to recall the many things that I have learned from both Justice J.K. MEHRA Sahab and Justice Anil Kumar ji. In any case, I am far too junior in this profession to be able to summarize such vibrant and talented seniors who had taken care of this honorable court in an entirely different era. Please do allow me the opportunity to share with you some of the glimpses and history and a few personal anecdotes. Justice J.K. MEHRA, though a professional on the labor, service, and commercial laws, was in fact great in every field that he sat on his roster as a judge. I definitely had enjoyed his indulgence like many other juniors at that time who, as counsels, had appeared before him. Even after his retirement, I had had several interactions with him because he was a friend of my father and he would keep on guiding us, and especially me, till perhaps a few days before his demise, when I was still contesting my elections. I can distinctly remember a 3-4-year-old in the profession arguing a bail application where I had, for some reason, used the word that I am entitled to bail. And this was opposed by a senior counsel who appeared for the complainant and probably had ripped me apart in every way he could on this word of entitled to bail. Since I had lost my wits and I did not know how to respond, it was Justice MEHRA who came to my rescue and said to the senior counsel, "You can now take a seat. He is only asking for his entitlement. As far as the criteria of bail go, he is entitled. Whether he has to get it or not, that is for me to see. So if you have argued the complaint, then let me dictate the order now." And lo and behold, the order was in my favor. I definitely did feel grateful, but later on, it was commented that when you draft a bail application, it may not be in those many clear words, but at least have the language simple as possible. And that I kept with me as a guidance for all my future endeavors before him or any other judge. Delhi High Court Bar Association regrets losing such a warm and vibrant pillar of this glorious institution. I too will miss him and his fatherly advice over the years that have helped me in the pursuit of my life goals. As far as Justice Anil Kumar is concerned, a lot has been said about his life and his academic achievements, and also about his career as a counsel and then as a judge. But I remember distinctly, as if it was yesterday, that Justice Anil Kumar's superannuation was celebrated by the High Court Bar in the canteen a decade ago when I was the Secretary of the Bar Association. As several of my seniors and my lords would recall, Justice Anil Kumar was a man ahead of his times. He was perhaps one of the first people in this court to become fully versed with computers when they had first arrived. and he would even carry his own laptop to the courtroom on a daily basis. I know this for a fact that he was far ahead of many of us in this arena till his last days. He would not let any one of us get away by taking a date or an adjournment if in case he felt that we were trying to avoid a hearing before him. Judgments or citations were always a click away, so we could not even ask for an adjournment on the basis and on the ground that we wanted to search for a judgment. He would just say, "Tell me the point, I'll search it for you." And we would get stuck at that point when we actually wanted to escape. Other than this, I also want to tell that Justin Anil Kumar was truly an adrenaline junkie on the bench, if I may be allowed to use that expression. His love for trekking, hiking, and traveling was unparalleled. And perhaps every time that we met him, he would tell us a new story about his travels and adventures. And as my colleague, Mr. Chetan Sharma, informed, that he used to travel with Mr. Solil Paul, who was one of our teachers, and both of them, after their trip, returning from their trip, would inform us how we people, despite being young, did not actually gather the courage to do those treks. It often occurs to me that without the constant support and encouragement from these super seniors of ours, I perhaps would not have been where I am today. I was far too young when I had the occasion to hear about them and interact with these great men, and never would I have imagined that I would be addressing this reference for both of them. I just hope that I live up to their teachings. With folded hands, I thank Justice Mehra and Justice Anil Kumar for their contributions to this Honorable Court and their work for the people of this city. We will cherish the memories left behind you as we move forward. I may invoke the Almighty and pray for strength to the families and next of kin of late Justice J.K. Mehra ji and late Justice Anil Kumar ji. And nothing that we say here can make up for the void left in their absence. I also extend on my behalf and on behalf of the members of the Delhi High Court Bar Association our deepest condolences to all the friends and next of kin of Justice Mehra and Justice Anil Kumar. Om Shanti.
My Lord, Honorable Mr. Justice Bipin Sanghi, Chief Justice of Delhi High Court, Honorable Mr. Justice Siddharth Mridul, Honorable Justice Manmohan, Honorable Justice Rajiv Sagdir, Honorable Justice Najmi Bajiri, and all other companion judges of this Honorable High Court, Mr. Chetan Sharma, Additional Solicitor General of India, Mr. Rajiv Khosla, Member Bar Council of Delhi and former President of Delhi High Court Bar Association, Mr. Amit Sharma, Senior Advocate, former Vice Chairman of Bar Council of Delhi, President Mr. Mohit Mathur, Avijat, Honorary Secretary, Mr. Dhanmohan, Member Executive, and all other office bearers of Delhi High Court Bar Associations, Mr. Sanjay Law, Standing Counsel Criminal, and Mr. B.S. Shukla, and all other standing councils and other standing council of central government, senior advocates, Mr. Amarjit Singh Chandok, former ASG, Mr. Kirti Uppal, senior advocate, Mr. S.K. Dubey, senior advocate, Mr. D.K. Rustagi, and all other senior advocates, fellow colleagues at the bar, family members of late Honorable Mr. Justice J.K. Mehra and Honorable Mr. Justice Anil Kumar, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Death is something inevitable where a man has done what he considers to be his duty to his people and his country, he can rest in peace. These words perfectly fit for the late Honorable Mr. Justice J.K. Mehra and late Honorable Mr. Justice Anil Kumar, both former judges of this Honorable High Court, for whom we all have assembled here to pay our sincere homage. Much has already been spoken about the departed souls by previous speakers. I would also like to share something about them. Honorable Mr. Justice J.K. Mehra practiced in labor, civil service matters, trademark act, and civil commercial laws. Honorable Mr. Justice J.K. Mehra, appointed as a judge of this Honorable High Court in the year 1991, when I also joined the bar and got several opportunities to appear before him and acquired a lot of legal knowledge. Honorable Mr. Justice Mehra was very generous, very kind to young lawyers, and used to encourage them. It's my personal experience. Honorable Mr. Justice J.K. Mehra was a pious soul and a great man whose entire life was dedicated to the legal fraternity. A devoted and hard-working judge, a kind-hearted person, made him a truly extraordinary personality. Speaking about Honorable Mr. Justice Anil Kumar, I say that he was enrolled in Bar Council of Delhi in the year 1974 and started law practice in the same year. Except those who were very close to him might not be knowing other facets, traits, and attributes of Honorable Justice Anil Kumar. His life was not merely as an advocate or a judge. He was a multidimensional personality. There was a part of him who was a sports person, a part of him who was a teacher, a part of him who was adventurous, a part of him who was musician, a part of him who was a dancer. He knew that to force himself to a single role, to decide to be just as one thing would kill off large parts of him. That was the reason that he allowed all parts described above to nourish and flourish, which made his life most enjoyable. I, on my behalf, and on behalf of the members of Bar Council of Delhi, convey my sincere condolence to both bereaved families and pray to God that departed soul may rest in peace. Om Shanti.
Honorable Mr. Justice Vipin Sanghi, Acting Chief Justice, High Court of Delhi. Honorable Judges of the Honorable High Court of Delhi. Mr. Chetan Sharma, Learned Additional Solicitor General, Union of India. Mr. Santosh Tripathi, Standing Counsel, Government Councils, Union of India. Mr. Murari Tiwari, Chairman, Enrollment Committee, Bar Council of Delhi. Mr. Mohit Mathur, President, High Court Bar Association. Office Bearers of the Delhi High Court Bar Association. Senior members of the bar, esteemed colleagues, and family members of late Honorable Justice J.K. Mehra and Honorable Justice Anil Kumar. Today we have assembled here to pay homage to our two distinguished judges, late Justice J.K. Mehra and Justice Anil Kumar, former judges of the Honorable Delhi High Court, who passed away during the unfortunate years of past. With the demise of Justice J.K. Mehra and Justice Anil Kumar, the end of old generation of judges is slowly fading away. Justice J.K. Mehra was born in the year 1935 at Rawalpindi and settled at Delhi after partition. After completing his graduation, he did law from Delhi University and joined the profession in 1960. Justice J.K. Mehra became a leading lawyer and prominent person in social life. He was practicing before this Honorable High Court when he was elevated as an additional judge in this High Court on 19th of March 91 and permanent judge of this Honorable High Court on 3rd of September 91. He demitted his office on 6th of November 1997. He was a man versatile in many fields of law. He had a smiling face and possessed sterling qualities of head and heart. He had a warmth in his heart. In his personal life, he had benevolent nature and charitable disposition. He always had affection, bonding with his juniors in age and profession, and was helpful to those in need through his contacts. Justice Mehra's son, Mr. Dilip Mehra, and his granddaughter, Ms. Shikha Mehra, are also our colleagues in the profession. As a judge, he was graceful and dispensed justice with compassion and equity, and never lost sight of the miserable conditions of litigants and accused persons, particularly relating to the financial and health conditions. Some of the judgments passed by him as a judge depicted his inner voice. Justice Mehra left this world in the month of May 2019. I, on behalf of the Government of NCT of Delhi, my colleagues on the civil and the criminal side, and on my own behalf, express my heartfelt condolences to the bereaved family of late Justice J.K. MEHRA and pray to Almighty to bestow eternal peace to his soul. Late Justice Anil Kumar was born on 12th of July 1950 and had his higher education in Delhi. After completing his MSc, he did law from Delhi University. He was brought up entirely in Delhi culture. We all know that that is always a big loss to the family members and friends, but we have to bear the brunt of this ultimate eternal truth and accept it. People come and go, but they leave their marks and memories behind. Some by words and some by their writings. Late Justice Anil Kumar left his footprints in both. Law was his passion, which he inherited from his father, late Justice Sultan Singh, who as a lawyer molded him to be a sparkling gem of a lawyer who had a legal acumen. He was an intellectual giant like his father, late Justice Sultan Singh, and followed his footsteps in every direction. Justice Anil Kumar had streaks of spiritualism in his veins, which were evident from his interaction with the members of the bar. He was elevated as an additional judge of the Delhi High Court on 16th of July 2004 and later on became permanent judge of this honorable court on 20th of July 2006. He proved as an outstanding judge who made name for himself by dictating important judgments which had great impact on the society. Justice Anil Kumar demitted office on 11th of July 2012. Justice Anil Kumar was a sweet-tempered and cool-minded person with a soft heart. We remember him for his humility, sense of justice, and pleasing manners. While he was presiding over the criminal bench, I had many opportunities to appear before him as a prosecutor and found that he also kept in mind cardinal principles of fundamental rights, limits of freedom of speech and expression, and personal liberty, which he enforced with a strong pen. On the civil side cases, he was equally emphatic in his views. I could find him to be a God-fearing person with vast knowledge of our ancient literature. He would sometimes quote from scriptures, modern authors, and intellectuals the words of wisdom while hearing the arguments in the court. I, on behalf of Government of Delhi, my colleagues on the civil and the criminal side, and on my behalf, express my heartfelt condolences to the bereaved family of late Justice Anil Kumar and pray to Almighty to bestow eternal peace to his soul.
As a mark of respect to the departed souls, we shall now observe silence for 2 minutes. As a mark of respect to the departed souls, the working in the court is adjourned for the rest of the day.